everyone. My name is Anna. We have Marifer in here, and we wanted to introduce you to one of my really good friends. Her name is Trish Archie, and she's here to tell us a little bit more about the correlation in between just organization and waste. So we are very excited to have you here. Thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate you being here. So if you can just tell our viewers a little bit more about you and what made you get into the field that you are at. We'd love to hear a little bit more about that.
Thank you for having me, Anna and Marifer. I am a professional organizer. I have been organizing for about really all of my life professionally as a business for the last year now. I have a background in accounting, typical OCD type A personality, and I have used it, my natural personality traits, to help others get their little projects together. Sometimes it ranges from a small project, sometimes it's as bad as chaos. I really enjoy making things make sense, getting you unstuck when you feel overwhelmed by too many things or too many ideas all coming at you at once. I help people close the loop. Yes.
So when you say ideas, or when you help ideas or people close the loop, what kind of projects, can you give us examples of what kind of projects are you really like talking about?
Of course, of course.
Things, or is it like brainstorming?
Wow. So there are a variety, and it ranges depending on the unique individual. We have some projects that are as small as kitchen pantries, figuring out how to organize your mail, and directly relating to you guys what to do once you have organized your mail, or once you've come to the place where you're taking out the things that you don't need. I go and help people in their office to narrow down their business ideas and what type of system would be most helpful to extract the information for things like taxes, financial statements, any types of things that you would want to keep track of that make decisions, make the information more clear to you. I say, I take data and I turn it into information. When you have information, you can make better decisions in the future.
Definitely. So let me ask you, Trish, when did you kind of like understood that there's a correlation between accounting and organization of ideas, things, and the helping the client? Like when was it that you had identified the need? Because it's kind of like, I think we all need it.
I think so.
Like now you're talking about it and I'm like,
I definitely need it too.
Me
Well,
too.
awesome. That's what I love to hear. Well, I started my career as an accountant. I started noticing that what accounting is taking the little bits of data that come through in the form of transactions day to day, month to month, whether it be, an annual transaction either. But I knew that we needed to keep track of what was happening so that we could collect these little scraps and paint a picture. It became more clear to me the importance of organizations when I began working as a child care service caseworker at the YWCA. Pretty much the same concept, where you are taking the pieces of data that parents will give you about their income, their marital status, their employment status. All of those things were factored in, brought together to paint a picture of what the parent's situation is that justified eligibility for child care services. So I started to see a common thread that I was working in places where I would have a lot of information and it would be scattered. But once you pick through, and very, very important, eliminate the things that you don't need, it makes it a lot easier to see that straight line, to connect the dots, if you will.
Cool. So let's say you're gonna work with us in our nonprofit. What kind of things? I mean, I'm just like listening and kind of imagining like how, because I have tons of ideas every single day, and I want to make them all happen, but I have problems organizing
Exactly.
and I
That is
do
exactly
carry some
what I
ideas,
help
but
with.
most of them don't happen.
Well, a lot of times with my clients,
You guys,
and
we
I've
can't hear
spoken.
you. Let
Oh,
me.
I'm so sorry. What about?
Claudia wanted to say.
Oh, Claudia. Yes, you are muted, Claudia.
No, no, I was just saying that Trish is you're gonna hold Marifer's balloons. That's what I like to say,
I
because if they're
love
all
that.
over the place, you're gonna hold her balloons.
I'm going to use that. So
Yes.
that you bring up an interesting point. Many of my clients are very crafty and creative. So sometimes we all know that crafters will gather all the materials to craft, and we surround ourselves with all of these beautiful parts, but we never actually get to the crafting, or we start projects and we don't get them completed. So
Yeah.
one of the things that I come in immediately and I ask you about your pain points. I ask you about your problems, your concerns, your gripes, your frustrations, even if it's something as simple as I can't find what I want to work with. So once I get a better picture of the most important things that continue to surface over and over again of importance to you, and like I said, I like to talk about the pain first so that we can get straight to relief. Once we determine where it is that you have the issue or would like to improve, get organized, and for you, maybe it's your ideas, we come up with a system and a way to catch that information that's important to you, because a lot of us, we're in the flow working, and we get these great ideas, but we have no way to catch them, to capture them.
Mhm.
So I talk to people about first their pain points. We come up with a plan or a strategy as to how we can get closer to your vision. And that's the fun part is, we all have this vision, which makes the mess worth it. To go back to the crafting example, typically we start off with this vision of a beautiful quilt or a beautiful end project, but then we go to gather our materials and sometimes we get lost in the trees. We can't see the forest anymore. So I kind of make sure that I get to know what your vision is. We back into the vision through the pain points and say, where are we getting lost from the materials to the vision?
Okay.
And along the way, also hold you accountable, keep up and check in with you. How's that going? You said you would work on that this week. Have you had an opportunity, and why not? And then maybe we can even see more information like, why are you having trouble closing or finishing ideas? Maybe it's we have 10 ideas and you only have time to address 3 per week. So now we can be more realistic at the beginning of the week with the planning. Information is power.
Yes, I think I see a very powerful thing, and I'm gonna speak for myself. Like I have all these ideas, and I start very motivated, and I sometimes feel like there's a point where I lose interest in the
Yes,
middle of things, and sometimes it's really hard to get myself back motivated. And when I get back motivated, I finish things, but this gap that if I don't get back to being motivated, the idea won't be carried across.
absolutely.
So it's
Yeah.
great to have someone like you pushing.
Yes, yes. And I give you suggestions as well along the way, because, once you can clearly identify your pain points and where your vision is, where you'd like to go, your end goal, once we identify the barriers, the hurdles that are keeping you from, and again, eliminating the extras, it's a lot easier. Very similar to other areas of, I would say, psychology. Once you recognize your triggers or your burdens, now you're better equipped and prepared to find tactics or ways to work with your natural inclinations. If you find that the problem is too many ideas, then maybe you just grab a journal and jot down your ideas so you know that they're there when you're ready to come back and pick them up. If you find that you start the project and you don't complete it, I'm a firm believer in these tools called project boxes, where you place everything in the box. And now, rather than having to go and collect all your materials again, the supplies, you have it there, everything is there. So when you become inclined, so motivated again, you pick it up and you can literally pick up where you left off, as opposed to feeling like you have to start again from scratch.
Mhm.
So
I
just
love
small.
that. That's awesome. No, I
Thank
was
you.
just saying, I love that. That's awesome.
The small things that you can do to work more efficiently and effectively. That's the name of the game.
Cool. So, Trish, tell us a little bit more about the challenges you have seen within your projects. Like, what are the biggest challenges you face from client to client, or what are the most difficult experiences you've had in the past? And you can also share the most rewarding ones too.
Okay. Usually it is the most difficult that are most rewarding. I do this because I really appreciate and enjoy seeing the transformation. I don't like to come in and hear people say they're overwhelmed, even though that's a lot of times where we're starting. But looking at a large lump mass of things together and knowing that we can go in, we can sort them, we can make it make sense, and then you'll be left with a space and things that help you reach your vision is the most rewarding. And so that for me, the bigger the gap, the bigger it is between where you're starting and where you're ending, it makes it a lot more rewarding to know that, you know, you're motivated, that it can be done. A lot of times when I come in, that my clients are overwhelmed. They don't know where to start. I hear that a lot. And just by the time I leave, a lot of the times they're sending me pictures because now they know what to do. So that is very rewarding. But back to your original question, I would say, honestly, I get a lot of people just like you who have a lot of ideas and maybe run out of the energy or the motivation before the ideas get completely executed. I encourage the ideas. It is sometimes frustrating when you can't convince people to finish an idea before they pick up another, because I want to see them get that fulfillment versus the overwhelm. And sometimes, you know, we'll pick up a project too soon and we're really engulfed in this one and it's taking a lot of our time, energy, attention, and focus. But we pick up something else anyway, and then we feel guilty because we can't get to it or because we have to neglect the original project. So I would say that sometimes it's frustrating because you don't want to stifle anyone's creativity or desire to produce and create, but you're kind of like, not now. A lot of people are, like I said, very creative people, and they are not wanting to lose the ideas. But in the same token, it is so rewarding to see a creative person be able to complete a project after they've been trying and getting caught in the loop of getting distracted because something else needs to be done, something else is more urgent, or like you said, maybe got involved in the project and wasn't able to complete it. So, you know, the dog took a piece out or whatever. But just getting to the point where things make sense, where you have the tools you need to do what you want to do. That to me is what it's all about, is you feeling empowered, you knowing you don't need to, and again, fitting right into you guys. Anna knows how I feel about buying things. You don't need to buy anything. You have most of what you need already, if not everything. So seeing people say, you know, I've been wanting to do this, and they're thinking they need something else. So they go buy, and then they're able to see you can do what you want to do. Another great rewarding feeling is that I was looking for that. I've been looking for that. I love hearing that.
So what a beautiful job it is to for you. I mean, I'm imagining this, but like you're feeling great about, like when you're feeling good about a project, you're feeling good because you're helping another person fulfill their vision. So somehow your happiness comes from helping others to fulfill their visions. Like that's so beautiful and powerful.
In that,
I
and you
really
bring
enjoy.
them peace. I think you definitely bring them peace. I know that, like, when I You're doing what I did for my daughter's room and everything, and I organized her, and she works so much differently now. The way I organized it and the way she's 3. She became more
Oh.
independent. She picks her clothes because I did everything her reach and everything. But I wish I could do that
Mhm.
for me. But it brought me peace, and so I can only imagine your clients bring you peace when you bring them peace. And right now,
Yes.
buying everything, you just described my mom. I was helping her clean her house this past weekend, and I'm like, Mom, you have, you know, the roasting the turkey bags.
Yes.
I'm like, the store right now because you have them all here, and she just keeps buying them, and I'm like, Mom, you have like a lifetime supply of turkeys. I think she had like 50 packs. They're crazy, but it's a lot like that for her. She has the perfect example you gave us, the craft. She loves to make jewelry, and she has a room full of beads, and she's still buying beads. And I'm like, Mom, you gotta make some necklaces, make some earrings, make some jewelry. Stop buying so I love. We have sometimes it's sort of disorganized that we don't know what we have, and yeah, you're right. We
Yeah.
don't need to buy. 90% of the time, we don't need to buy anything.
I find gift cards. I find things of value all the time. Sometimes we even find money. It is amazing.
You're like, I'm
Yes.
keeping this.
Yeah, can you come and find money in my house too?
Yeah, and
They
mine too.
usually, it lessens the blow of my fees. So that's good.
Mhm.
It evens out. It evens out.
So going back to the correlation between organization and waste, because we got a
Yes.
little bit off track, but I think what we were talking about is so important. Tell us a little bit more about your findings.
Okay. I went to the El Paso.gov website as far as recycling. I was just mentioning that I had to be honest. I have been on an adventure while I was doing this work, and I'm coming across things all the time that I realize I don't know how to properly dispose of or recycle. Yes. And thank you for pulling that up on the screen. If you'll scroll down, it says what to recycle. This was the best website I found with great, pretty much rules of thumbs when it comes to recycling. For example, most people are aware that you can recycle cardboard, paper, plastic. The main rule of thumb there that I would say you want to keep in mind to people is that anything with food or food residue, you want to clean that out. So that's where it gets into, I thought it was a little weird, the pizza box. Pizza boxes are not recyclable in El Paso. Well, right now we're not recycling, taking a temporary pause, but hopefully we'll get back to it soon and you guys will know what to recycle. But it wasn't intuitive to me that the cardboard pizza box was not recyclable. I'm from North Carolina, and many places they will still accept that, but apparently El Paso does not have the capability to accept food stain containers. So the main thing that I noticed, I ran into is noticing and letting people know, you can recycle it if you can get the food off or the food residue. Another thing that I run into a lot into houses is the chemicals. Chemicals are not to be thrown in those bins that are out there. And I have a kind of sad, kind of funny story about that. I had a client who had a swimming pool. She had pool acid, and I took it, yes, upon myself, dropped it in my car in a hurry, and actually my boyfriend's car, and the acid ate a hole in his floorboards. Like I said, kind of funny, kind of not. That can happen. There's a reason that we are supposed to take those to the citizen collection station, is where you would take the chemicals. They're also available to people who would like to take them for free. They allow you, when people bring chemicals, if you want to take them, I guess they look at them and make sure they're not hazardous for you to take, and they leave certain ones out so you can take. Those are going to be things like batteries, charcoal fluid, cleaning fluids, all of those things. And where I'm from, I never really thought about it. I dumped it down the drain and I dropped it in the recycling, but that is not correct here in El Paso. And I think that these are everyday items that I find myself running into. So I just wanted to let people know that is the proper way to dispose of those items. Another thing that I run across a lot, and you guys probably are familiar, those thin plastic bags are not recyclable. They are plastic, but they do not want you to put any other recyclable item or any other item into those bags, and they are not recyclable. So
Are these
if you,
the grocery store ones? The ones
yes,
where you
ma'am,
do vegetables?
groceries. Mm-hmm. Yes, the vegetable, the grocery store, your Dollar Tree, they're plastic. So I thought, oh, you just drop them in the plastic. And if you'll notice on the website, do not bag is pretty much under every category. So they do not wish for any extra additional packaging. So that was one of the things that I would say the number one thing I see in everybody's house. And I always ask, what are you saving them for? Because you'll get more. And, they come in handy here and there, but even though I want you to throw them out, don't throw them in the recycling. Clothing was another one of particular interest to me because a lot of people, you have a lot of clothes and you want to decide what to do with them. I think that it was interesting to note here that pretty much if the clothing is unwearable or unusable, you can pretty much take it outside, obviously in the gray bin, it's not recyclable. You can also drop it off at the landfill or the citizens collection station. You have all of those options available to you if you decide to go through your closet and find some things that you no longer think are fit for other people to wear. But I was going to take this opportunity to definitely encourage people. It is cold. There are people who are in need. And if you have clothes that could be worn again or they're in fairly decent condition, you could really, be a blessing to someone else if you would like to donate. That is part of the service that I offer because sometimes, people are busy or not sure where to take things, especially with COVID. And you'll gather your, for you, what would be waste at this point, and you may need help getting it to the proper place to donate or dispose of it. So those were some of the main things that stuck out to me. Oh, and one more. I don't fry often, but cooking oil. I've always wondered, if you fry something, you fry chicken, you fry nuggets, whatever, taquitos, you have this oil that's left over. So what are you supposed to do with that? And one of the things that I never knew. So I did learn that you are supposed to take those types of things to the citizens collection station. And at the citizens collection station, they give you the rules of where you let them know what you have and they point you in the right direction. So you won't get as lost there. The landfill is typically for larger items, but pretty much your regular household stuff, as long as it's free of residue and not a chemical, you should be able to recycle it in your blue bins. I think that was the main things that I noticed when I come across inside of the homes, and I've had more questions about.
So let me ask you, Trish, how is it working with people that are not aware of the importance of, or are not understanding of the importance of recycling, like not throwing these things? Like what do you do to educate them? Like how is your approach? Because approaching people is one of the most difficult things, especially when in terms of like environmental things. Like people get very, like they get offended because you tell them recycle or don't do this or don't do that, it's for the planet, and they get like not hostile, but it's hard, it's difficult. So what do you do
Defensive.
to your client to tell them like, hey, well, we're doing this work because this is important?
Definitely. I typically try and gauge the shade of green is what I like to use early on. And I make it very easy for them. I can tell early if they do not have receptacles set up to easily recycle, and I bring my own. I make it easy for them. I don't push or preach. I mention, especially if they have children, that we do want to maintain our planet for other generations. I hope that for the most part that does seem to get through to people, but I've found that the best way is to make it easy for them and take the recycling myself if necessary. Water bottles are big. I see a lot, you go to someone's house and they're overwhelmed, and a lot of times you'll see a lot of water bottles. So I make sure that I collect those and take them with me if that's not something that becomes apparent to them as we're organizing. I take it upon myself. And, if you're getting rid of some of the clutter that will free up their mental space, you don't get too many complaints. But I do make the suggestion. I do, remind them that what you do now impacts the generations to come.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they do. What about hoarder doors? I have difficulty saying that word. Hoarder. Have you seen that? I feel like it's happening a lot in our parents' generation, but I don't know, maybe young people do it, have that too.
So it's interesting you say that. One of the things I noticed about our parents' generations is that what we have to understand is that's a lifetime of stuff. Your life, your memories, your travels, your experiences. People accumulate things almost as a reflection of themselves. Mm-hmm. So I do try my very best to be compassionate and understanding, because I know that there is generally some identity in the stuff. I noticed that the generations that followed have become less materialistic, do more with less. Let me see, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with the term capsule wardrobe. So a capsule wardrobe is pretty much when you try and find the most outfits with the minimum amount of clothes.
Oh, cool.
It doesn't work with me. I do know what it is.
I'm gonna change you.
I've tried.
So pretty much the basis of that is, and the capsule comes from, if the world were going to end tomorrow, what would you put into your capsule? The most important things, your favorite things. Our parents have 50, 60 years of favorite things. We're probably at 20, 30 years of favorite things. And just the way we look at things are different. So I do try and be compassionate. I don't urge to throw away. I actually don't like using that word. I encourage donation as much as possible, because if you're not using it, you can bless someone else. They can use it. I tell the story about how, the shoes and the clothes that you can't wear or are out of style for you could be the ones that someone goes and gets a job in. It could change someone's life. And, most of us are familiar with donations and how they work. So it's not usually hard getting people to give to other people. El Paso is great community. But when it comes to the stuff, I'm going to be honest with you, and I'm still learning new tricks and tips. Most of the time you can tell when there's a line in the sand that the stuff isn't going. And the good part about it is usually there's a certain category. There's one that they're willing to negotiate, but there are certain ones that are off limits. And you just got to pick your battles. Yes.
Well,
I think it's also a lot very cultural. I mean, we are in a very highly Hispanic location, in which I believe that's how they were raised. Like, everything you got took a lot of work to get. So that's why I think they keep it. And I mean, I even had that conversation with my brother and my mom, because we tell her, why do you keep so much? Like, you keep this little paper that just it's just, it's just how we were raised. Like every single time
Yes.
that you need this, I have it. And I'm like, yes, but it's not necessary. She's like, but it's true. Like we didn't used to, oh, this shoe got scraped, I'm gonna get another pair of shoes. We used to go and take it to repair, which in my opinion, there's a good and a bad on both of them, because our
Yes.
generation did become materialistic just because it's so easy to just get another
Oh, yeah.
thing. So it is just like very funny because it is very cultural. It is from their upbringings, and it's something where we clash a lot, I believe, like us and our parents, because
Oh, yes.
both have such different ways of thinking. So I don't know how you do it, because I've tried with my mom before.
I think that you have to see from their point of view, like you said, they didn't have as much and they had to work so hard that they feel that one of the things I wanted to address today, that sometimes at first you feel like you're being wasteful, getting rid of the stuff that you don't need. You feel like, wow, someone worked hard for that, or I worked hard for that, and I spend my hard-earned money on that, or it has a use, it's still good. But what I have to get them to see, and it does take time sometimes, is that if you're not using it, it's still wasteful.
Yeah.
If you have it and it's just in the closet, it's still being wasted. It's being wasted without being used. And if someone can use it, that's the best way to keep it from being wasteful. I also think that, especially if you choose to buy less items, spending money and getting the better quality item, such as clothes, is much more important, with making sure that your clothes truly align with the style of who you are versus the fast fashion of, okay, I'm going to wash and toss is what I call it. I'm going to, wear this one time and throw it out, because those are the types of things that end up as waste. But of course, if you spend, money on a good quality piece of clothing, those are the things that even if you don't want to wear it anymore, someone's going to want to wear that. So
Because it lasts
I do.
longer too.
Yes,
like it
absolutely.
won't rip, and yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Trish, for such a wonderful conversation. We definitely want to reach out to you. We need your assistance. At least I know I do.
That would be wonderful.
But we want to honor your time, and thank you so much for sharing what you're doing. It's amazing what you're doing for the community is amazing. It's a difficult job, I can assume, because we're like the ones stubborn to not get rid of some of our things. But it's really good that you're assisting people in a very deep
Pathetic.
way. So thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you guys for having me. It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much, Trish. Like we've had these conversations before, so I know a little bit about this, but a lot more people need to know. And I mean, if you can come back and tell us more on the business end of things later on, we would love to have you back.
Yes.
That would be great. Thank you, ladies. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.